All right, so we got some good news here. There's a poll coming out from VICE. It says just as many African Americans say they'd consider voting for Bernie Sanders as Joe Biden. So it's a VICE News-Ipsos poll. It says fully 56% of African Americans say they'd consider voting for Sanders in 2020, a statistical tie with the 54% who said the same about former Vice President Joe Biden, and significantly higher than any other candidate. Only 23% of African Americans say they wouldn't consider voting for Sanders, about the same number as the 24% who said they wouldn't consider voting for Biden. It also says Sanders does even better relative to Biden and the rest of the field among Hispanics. 47% say they'd consider voting for Sanders, while 37% said they'd consider voting for Biden. More Hispanics say they wouldn't consider voting for Biden, 37%, than wouldn't vote for Sanders, 31%. So Bernie's not only doing well here, he's actually leading with Hispanic voters, which is awesome. Now, if we take a look here at these numbers, okay, what it says is Trump is at 9%. This is, would you consider voting for the following candidates for president in 2020? Trump is at 9%. Bernie Sanders is at 56%. Joe Biden's at 54%. Elizabeth Warren's at 39%. Michael Bloomberg's at 27%. And Pete Buttigieg is at 17%. So a pretty low number for Pete Buttigieg. But Bernie is at the top with 56%. So it says these numbers come from an online poll conducted by Ipsos for Vice News. So these are good numbers. This is a really good sign. Now, Bernie is not doing as poorly this time around with African American voters as he was doing last time. Now, the number breakdown seems to be Bernie leads Biden in the younger demographic of African Americans, but Biden still has a decent chunk of those 18 through 34 African American voters, but then he demolishes Bernie Sanders in every other age bracket of African Americans. So it looks like what Bernie really needs to do is he needs to have an outreach program for all African Americans, but really he's got to try to get his message out to the older black folk. Now, older people, generally speaking, don't like Bernie Sanders, obviously. I don't really know particularly any logical reason for that. I mean, he's the one wanting to expand Social Security and improve Medicare, etc., obviously. So that doesn't really make any sense. But regardless, they do. And also, I think the older, black voters are more inclined to be sort of Obama folks. It's the younger ones, some of the younger ones who are a little bit more left-wing and kind of see through Obama for the, sellout that he was. So this is good news. And the thing you have to understand is, if Bernie Sanders even is competitive with African American voters in those southern states in this primary, it's a wrap. He's going to emerge victorious. He doesn't even have to win. He just needs to be competitive. That's it. As long as he is competitive and, he's not like getting just demolished out of the water like he did against Hillary Clinton, he'll win for sure. So hopefully this works out. Hopefully he has a plan to really reach out to African American voters, especially older ones, but this is really good news for Bernie Sanders.